Viral clips appear to show people on either side doing anything other than taking the temperature down. Stephen Crowder's call for violence is one such example, for which he's now issued this clarification.
People may take some clips and tell you that Stephen Crowder is irresponsible. He advocated violence. That's right. I am. I want to be crystal clear about that. I am advocating for lawful violence defensively that has been abandoned for years, and I want it to replace where grace was afforded before.
That's not a clarification statement. That's been Crowder's position for a couple of years. He's just making that position public. Well, you can see the argument that your channel should have a montage of your dark side voice moments. Yeah, we probably should. So it was hella funny to watch Cornel West walk off because he couldn't handle being called out. That was funny. Anyway, that's been his stance for years. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with self-defense. I don't even know why that would be a controversial stance. For those of you who don't know, though, I can announce it now, I think. Stephen Crowder, going to make some time tomorrow for him to come on our show for a while. I called him up, asked him if he would like to discuss those exact comments, and he happily agreed. So we'll have a nice chat with him tomorrow. For any of you guys who want to swing by and watch the chat, should be a good one.
In a moment, we'll be joined by Joe Walsh to debate these issues. But first, I'm joined by Stephen Crowder for what will hopefully be a clarification on his clarification. Stephen, welcome back to Uncensored. As you know, a lot of people believed you were advocating for a violent response. You've clarified that now. And people are saying, you know, is that a sincere clarification or have you just calmed down?
It wasn't a clarification. It was a repeat. And I stand by it. I am advocating for lawful, maybe let me clarify, ruthless violence in defense of us and our own. And if you give me 1.5 minutes, I can make it extra crystal clear if we need to. What you're seeing with Charlie Kirk is what got through. Charlie Kirk lived under a cloud just as I have. It's the reason that I stopped doing Change My Minds, where there were 12 felonious assaults, attempts at battery, and attempts on my life. And I know quite a few, and many I don't, of Charlie Kirk. I want to be clear. I want those on the left to speak freely and to be able to host their events with minimal security as they do now for the rest of their lives. Just as surely, I want them to be deathly terrified of showing up and acting with the increasing violence as they have at our events. And
for those of you who don't know, what Stephen Crowder here is defining is force doctrine. He's expressing force doctrine. In this case, force doctrine used as a deterrence. If you come with the sword, expect to be met with the sword. That's all he's saying here. And it's completely rational. It's completely logical. And it's where the conservative mindset now needs to be. That if you come with the sword, you will be met with ruthless opposition.
that goes both ways. Hey, if there's a spat of right-wing violence that's spreading across this country, treat those people the same way that we treat yours. But you won't find it. And let me just address a couple.
He's right. You won't find it. I guess I lied. I meant in here, not her. Again, please donate. God bless you all. Bless you too, Keith. You have a good one, man.
Couple of things here. What I think leads to violence, they'll try and blame it on Donald Trump. They'll give us a bunch of reasons. Let me be really clear here. Joe Walsh will say that this is an overreaction. He said that yesterday. He doesn't understand why this is a big deal. That's untrue. He will say that statistically more violence comes from the right. That's provably untrue. He has been stating for days that the shooter was in fact not a leftist and we didn't know. That's provably untrue. He will create a false equivalency between Charlie Kirk and the murder of the Hortmans in Minnesota. That's provably untrue. And finally, he will place blame, as the left and the spineless right does, for all of this on Donald Trump, conservatives, rising figures, and the rhetoric for temperatures in this country. That is provably untrue. Donald Trump ran on Law and Order and won because of leftist violence. All of this, let me finish with this. All of this is by design so that the left and spineless right can make this conversation about conservatives responding to the cold-blooded terroristic assassination and gleeful celebration thereafter of a young man who did nothing more than sit down at a table and allow anyone to speak their opinion. And I know what it's like because I was in that spot. I started it, and Charlie cited it as inspiration. If I could change one thing, and I do believe that I'm partially responsible for this, I failed people. I've had to do a lot of soul searching. When I did change my mind and started in 2016, the idea was, hey, calling the left on their bluff, civil dialogue with anyone to the tune of billions of plays and hundreds of hours. And it got increasingly violent. And what I didn't tell people, I told people out there, go do this on your own campus, have these conversations. I advocated for it. And Charlie took it to another level. He was unbelievable at it. What I didn't do, I didn't tell people about the threats because I didn't want copycats. I didn't tell them about terrorists from Yemen through Sweden showing up in East Grand Rapids. I didn't tell them about concrete milkshakes. I didn't tell them about my tires getting slashed, about people trying to firebomb my car. And maybe if I would have picked up the phone, maybe if I would have used this megaphone to tell people it's real life out there and the left wants you dead, maybe Charlie would have had a fighting chance. Maybe I could have done more. Right now, I'll tell you this. I see a lot of people out there, Piers. See a lot of people out there talking about picking up that microphone. And I hope people do because the alternative is silence. But I want people to know that wherever that microphone is and whoever thinks about picking it up, you are in the crosshairs. People say bring down the temperature. Okay, how about we bring down the temperature to doing something like, I don't know, sitting down at a table and allowing anyone with a thought or opinion to discuss it rationally? Would that bring down the temperature? Because they took his life anyway.
Tell me one lie he just said. Tell me one lie that he just said. Nothing. Not a single lie. Absolutely agree with Stephen. That being said, I also sit with a quote. It's easy to get men to go to war, hard to get them to go back. I agree. Chris Lestrange, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Zero lies detected. Now, I'm sure that Stephen would not be upset with me telling you because I think he's made it very public. But he has expressed to me in great detail how fucking awful many of those occurrences were for him with campus security failing at every turn. And why they ended up having to finally stop doing it was because of the massive amount of horrific threats and violence which was attempted on him for simply sitting down and having conversations with people. And by the way, he didn't even do the gotchas. You know, there was a bit of the gotcha rage bait with Kirk in some of the exchanges. At least they were, maybe they weren't, but they were at least framed that way by Clippers. That wasn't even the case with Change My Mind. So I know he's telling the truth. He told me all of this long before this assassination happened, so I know he's telling the truth. He's felt this way about it for an awful long time, and I think he's been very public with it, though maybe a lot of people don't know that. But I didn't see a single lie there. Not a single one.
Listen, I know you knew Charlie Kirk well. I feel your passion. I feel your anger. I feel your hurt. It's a painful time. I think everybody on the conservative right in America, it's a very painful time. And I feel that. But in the interest of fair play, which Charlie Kirk would want, we have got the former Republican congressman and the host of The Social Contract, Joe Walsh, joining the debate. Exactly what Charlie would encourage, I think, which is, Joe, you've just heard a very impassioned statement there from Stephen Crowder. What's your response?
Oh, I get it. and I feel it, and I appreciate Steven Crowder expressing how he feels. I really do. And
Why do I have a feeling I can hear it? I can hear, but I can already hear it. I can feel it in my bones. But
I don't know what my fight is. I don't have a fight with Steven Crowder. Steven, good to see you. There was a lot you said about me there in the intro. I don't remember because I'm getting older. I wish I'd written down some of it. I did my best for the past week because I knew Charlie as well, not to say that this guy was a right wing. He came from a God-fearing gun Utah family. He was definitely right, like some on the left did. I didn't know who he was.
You see this look right here? Do you see it? I know this look. This is the Steven Crowder, you, sir, are full of fucking shit, and I'm about to tear your ass apart look. That's that look. He just kind of goes dead stone face, and he looks at you like, you fucking piece of shit. I'm about to rip your ass limb from limb. That's what that looks like to me right now. Okay? That's what that looks like to me.
Until we had the facts and the evidence. And it's clear, Pierce and Stephen, that this was a
I had the facts and the evidence. And I told you he was on the left from the bullet engravings that we received from a leak. And you said we were wrong. And people on the left said we were wrong. And that matters because the shooter was still out there, and so was the Kirk family.
Crowder saying he was doing actual journalism. For those of you who don't remember, he broke the story early via an ATF contact. The ATF contact told him that on the scene, they found these etched shell casings. And that early reporting turned out to be completely correct. And many people were retweeting it, including a not so erudite. You can find the tweet right now where she says, and this is how misinformation is spread. What misinformation? He was 100% right. 100% right. That's the face of, I know you're trying to give me the kiss of death and I'm not buying it. Totally. That's the you're full of shit face. I didn't know him. I never met him. But what happened to Charlie was like I lost a brother. It was fucking awful. The truth walked in flesh once and they killed him too. That's true. Literally, the truth had flesh and they killed that too. It's true.
I'm trying to save lives.
Stephen,
you just save lives, Joe?
Maybe some people did. I don't know when I ever said you were wrong anywhere. When
you
this
said
first time I've talked to you, or even
we don't know. We know he's from a white family in Utah, and you retweeted people, and you went out and said this guy is not a left-wing extremist. He is. Okay, go ahead. You did say that,
my friend. From the moment Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I said we don't know who did it. And once we found out who did it, we don't know why he did it. So let's all wait to figure out why he did it.
But we did
yesterday.
Know. Stephen. And I remember you saying that he sold his soul to Trump before the body was cold, and criticizing his wife.
Stephen,
I'm enjoying this no mercy debate style from Mr. Crowder. Taking no bullshit whatsoever from this fucking leftist goon fuck. Taking zero shit from him at all. I'm enjoying this. 2 points about Crowder take. 1, media will only show clips of conservatives striking at libs and blame conservatives. And 2, don't try this in blue cities. You have to look. Even if you're in a blue city, like you can't just let leftists like fucking murder you, okay? You're not allowed. You can't do. You have at least a responsibility to yourself and your family not to allow that.
Let me finish, brother, please. And then we find out in no uncertain terms, by the way, Pierce, which I think all of us could have guessed, this was a political assassination. This 22-year-old young man hated Charlie Kirk, and so he picked up that gun and he shot him. Clearly, and as you've said, Pierce, it's clear that of late he had become radicalized with leftist ideology. There, now we know it. This will go down in history as an act of left-wing political violence. Yes.
I mean, I would say, Stephen, that is an honest statement.
It's a bunch of fucking leftists backtracking and double talk. They're caught, and they know they're fucking caught. And this guy is throwing himself on the mercy of the Crowder. I'm throwing myself on the mercy of you, Stephen. You see, I agree with you now that it's incontrovertible that I can't. But if there was any nuance here whatsoever, I would definitely be weaponizing that against you. Guarantee he would, too. We should have woken up when that guy swung that bike a lot. Oh, I know, man. Fucking wild.
From Joe.
It's not.
Yeah, but is it honest on your side, Stephen? Be honest. Is it honest to say there is no problem with violence on the political right? Because there has been historically a lot of violence associated with the far right in America. That, again, is just a demonstrable fact. To pretend there's never...
You know, it's really not a demonstrable fact. It really isn't. You know, I remember when the Tea Parties were going on, you guys remember that when those kicked off, when Harry Reid was still in office and the Tea Parties were going on. And I remember something my dad said, which always stuck with me. He said, yeah, you notice, Andrew? Well, I'll try to tell it to you the same way that he told it to me. He said, these fucking communists. Have you noticed these fucking communists, Andrew? These fuckers? That when they go to a place, they destroy fucking everything. When we go there, it looks nicer when the whole fucking crowd disperses than before they got there. Do you notice that? I'm like, well, shit. I notice it now. Good. That's how he said it. I always try to be accurate with the facts. Crowder's always been pretty blunt and combative, but I can't help but see you rubbing off on him a bit more with his approach here. And I don't think so. You know, it's kind of the other way around. When I needed someone around to kind of guide me in this industry, I didn't have anybody, you know what I mean? It's a very large stream and many opportunities and could easily have fucked many things up. And I was very fortunate that, Steven reached out and I was able to talk with him about many of these things because he stopped me from walking into many, many pitfalls that I would have easily walked into. So I think it's the other way around. I think Crowder rubbed off more on me than I have on him. What do you think about what Candace is saying? About what, dude? I don't pay attention to fucking Candace Owen, bro.
Been any
By
is
what?
to be disingenuous,
Demonstrable
isn't
fact
it?
by what? No, it's not to be disingenuous. It's absolutely correct. And I understand because I've seen Joe and people of his ilk retweeting these out there. It either comes from Cato Institute or it comes from a recent Economist article. I can tell you how all of those numbers are wrong. Remember the man in Portland? Remember Aaron Danielson, who was shot dead point blank by an Antifa member? Michael Reinhold, who said, we got a Trump supporter, bang, bang, dead. That wasn't listed as political violence. Look at that chart. The year 2020, the summer of love, no political violence from the left. I could go through the methodology, and I have brilliant researchers who have. It is demonstrably untrue. No one is saying there is no violence on the right. What I am saying is that people on the right have to have armed security, flak jackets, an entire strategy when they go out, and those on the left.
Yeah, I don't even know how you can make the jump. Like, sure, the play on words for the rubbing off on someone. You know, oh, that guy, you know, he rubbed off on me. I don't know how you can conflate that with rubbing one out on. That would be the conflation, right? Isn't that the, like, wouldn't that be the play on words for the haha, you're gay thing? But you would have to say rub one out on. That would be fucking hilarious. But I think it's a pretty common phrase, like, you're rubbing off on this person or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. Not very har-har. What, not very har-har from the chat. I feel like you guys can do better. Usually you do a lot better when you're roasting the shit out of me, you know? Usually you do better than that.
Left don't. That is verifiably true. What is dishonest is to say we didn't know. You know what else wouldn't have been included in these crime stats? And anyone want to make this argument? You're talking to the wrong guy. The Covenant High School shooting. Audrey Hale. Cato said we included it because it was borderline, even though the police said they didn't think it was politically motivated.
Yeah, I remember going through those same stats, and if it's the same thing, what he's referencing here is the same thing we went through. One of the funniest things that we found was that they categorized right-wing violence as also being neo-Nazis who were in prison. They categorized that as political right-wing violence, and I was like, wait, what? So if that's the same thing he's referencing, he's right. The methodology's all fucked up on that.
Not for the undercover journalism unit of a comedy show right here, no one would have known that motivation. We found it, we leaked it, we processed it, we verified it, and we were met with resistance and threats of lawsuits from the local police department.
Hang on. Wait a second. This chatter says Andrew's in the CIA and complains about Fed posting. Yeah, fucking right. You think I'd take a pay cut from the CIA? Yeah, fucking right. That sounds like a lot of work for not a lot of pay. I ain't going to take a pay cut. Get out of your fucking mind. Crazy Dave says, I live in Maryland, Republican. I don't take shit from any leftist. The price of social destruction, loss of friends. I refuse to live in delusion. Based.
Mayor and the FBI, they said it was a lie on the outset, just like they said the engravings on the bullet casings were a lie on the outset. The left lies. They label you fascist. They label you a totalitarian. And how do you deal with...
Yeah. This is... See, Secret Agent Andrew. Double O Drew. Oh, that's really funny. All right, back to this.
with those people? Well, you don't do it at the ballot box. We all know that.
It's not just how the news is told, but what's left out, which
well, hang on. Somebody else said, no, he's not CIA, he's Mossad. Let's get this clear, right? The CIA would pay way more money, okay? I don't know if you know this or not, but the people who come out and actually have taken money from Israel to be pro-propagandists for Zionism, some of them, it's been exposed what they get paid by these organizations, and it's like, Israel's really cheap. Like, way to lean into the stereotype on that one. Really fucking cheap. Like, if I was trusting a bunch of influencers to push my message for my entire country, I think I'd pay them better than what Israel pays them. The name is Man. Smoky Man. That's right. Secret Agent Andrew. Secret Agent. That's your Halloween costume now, Fed boy. Be those agents from Rocky and Bullwinkle? Totally. Moose and squirrel.
Concerns me. And when a friend in the business recommended I try Ground News, I gave it a go. Quite honestly, I was impressed. It does something brilliant, which most /peers to claim
against women. If you're against men and women's sports, it's violence against trans, it's genocide, it's erasing them. If you're against Juneteenth as a holiday, it's violence. You're pro-First Amendment, violence because you're inciting violence. You're pro-Second Amendment, violence because you believe people should be able to commit gun violence. And then if we
$100. The Israeli Mossad agents watching this, stay comfortable with the tax dollars given to your country and stop extorting my people. You got to ban that guy. You got to ban that guy. You got to ban him now.
Remain silent. That's also violence. And so people deal with the right with violence. Here's my challenge. Find me one example of a Charlie Kirk on the left, not an elected official. I'll allow any speaker, any comedian this century, one example of somebody who was murdered, assassinated, hemorrhaged out in front of his family in cold blood and gleefully celebrated thereafter. And the polls show that a majority, according to YouGov recently, of Democrats think it's somewhat too acceptable. 38%, 77% of Republicans said not acceptable at all.
Okay, let Joe.
You see, like, he's pounding this guy pretty hard with facts right. He's pounding him pretty hard with facts right now. Okay. I do want to hear what our Crypt Keeper friend over here has to say, though. I do want to hear that. Yeah, the name's Fascist. Big Papa Fat. That's funny.
What I'm saying is that Charlie Kirk was hunted. He was hunted. We are being hunted. And I don't want to see any more dead friends. Violence Absolutely. Lawful,
I'll
ruthless, defensive violence.
Okay, Joe.
Hey, Pierce, I'll just be brief again. The data is
Please.
pretty clear, and historically it's been pretty clear.
The data is pretty clear. Doesn't tell us how the data is pretty clear. I hate that. That's the worst thing that they do is when they appeal that way. No, the data actually is pretty clear. Okay, well, Crowder opened his line with, I've been researching out the methodology for how this data is collected. And here's many examples of how they omitted left-wing violence like the Summer of Love. They omitted all violence in the Summer of Love as being non-political. That's fucking insane. That's insane. This guy says, no, the facts are clear, though. No, well, he just gave you good reason to believe that the facts aren't actually clear on this. No, but they're pretty clear, though. Fucking asshole.
That there's political violence on the right and the left in this country for years. And I could argue, and I would argue, but I won't here, that there's historically been more political violence coming from the right. But
I could argue and would argue, but won't hear. Aren't you fucking here to argue that, dude? Isn't the whole point for him to argue that point? I could argue that, but I'm not going to here. You're in a debate with the guy that you're arguing that with. When else were you planning on doing that? Oh, I know. When he's in his studio comfortable and pulls up a picture of Steven and yells at him. That's what they do. They're going to pull up a picture and yell at the guy who you're in a debate with right now. But you're not going to argue the point with him that he just made during a debate with him. You're going to wait till you're back in your studio, and then you can lie about the facts and yell at a picture of him. People are fucking cowardice made flesh. Secret spy. Oh, my God, bro. All right. I can see a new meme has been born. Keith Ortman for 20. If we changed woman versus man bathroom versus male-female bathrooms and locker rooms, watch how fast that changes. True. As Christians, should we take this cultural leverage and claim cultural appropriation on Christmas? I don't know. There, it's that doesn't seem. I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about, honestly.
Nice to say, I think you and I, Pierce, would agree. There's a history of. Hey, Stephen, let me finish, man, please.
Please argue it. You can't just make a vague claim and not substantiate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. Can you let me finish my emotional outburst? No, fucker. No, I want you to argue the fucking point, you fuckhead. Can you do that? Can you argue the fucking point? Substantiate it? No, I'm not actually here to debate with you during this debate, man. I'm here to give you an emotional outburst and then talk shit about you on my program when you're not there. I could argue and would argue, but won't argue here. And that dude, yeah, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him, bro. Thank you for the 5, though. Cody for 5 says I could argue and would argue, but won't argue. It's just fucking wild. Fucking wild.
Pierce, you and I would agree, for the sake of this conversation, that political violence is in.
So he appeals to the moderator. Piers, you and I would agree. You're not arguing with Piers, you fucking idiot. You're arguing with Steven Crowder.
In fact, in fact a both sides problem. Stephen, you would acknowledge, I think, that there is political violence on, and there has been political violence on the right as well.
See, do you notice the red herring that he snuck in there? For those of you who have gone to Debate University, you'll note how to not fall into this trap. We'll see if Stephen takes the bait or not. But he just changed his argument around. He just changed the whole argument completely around. He said, now, Stephen, you'll agree that there's some, at least, political violence on the right. As though a concession to the truthfulness of that is somehow going to alter Stephen's argument that the methodology which presents that right-wingers are more violent than left-wingers are when it comes to political violence is somehow true. That doesn't make the statement true, even if Stephen acknowledges that, of course, there is some violence on the right, right? Nobody would dispute that that's the case, but this is not even cleverly done. And hopefully Stephen can tear through this guy like a hobo through a bologna sandwich. Alter Void for 10 says, and this is why people do not care what the numbers say. DC crime was way down, LOL. Yeah, I know. The DC crime way down. All you have to do is categorize these crimes as not being violent crimes, and violent crime goes down, doesn't it? Funny how that works. You can only fake the numbers for so long. Yeah, no shit, when you can see it with your own eyeballs. I always thought Carly Simon's Nobody Does It Better was about 007. Never was. It's more than clear now that song was about Andrew Wilson. True. You found me out. Going for the tu quoque bait and switch? Totally. Totally.
So why don't we all just condemn it all? That's what we all should do.
Because Stephen's not here arguing about whether or not political violence should be condemned. His opening statement was that if right-wingers show up to left-wing events with the sword, they should be met in a forceful way in an act of self-defense. He opened with that. That is condemning political violence across the board. That's already been established in this debate. So why is he making him condemn a thing that he already condemned? That makes no sense. It's a simple bait and switch. If Joe actually cared about Charlie after claiming to be his so-called friend, he would have shut the fuck up and listened to Stephen. No shit. What a dick.
Yeah,
Steve?
no, I don't. I don't agree with the premise. And I'm having to agree with a nebulous premise because you presented no facts. The very source that you cite, and by the way, I'll make all of mine publicly available. Hold on, I'm finishing now.
So Stephen says, no, I reject the premise, which was a good move. But there's a better one. There's a better chess move that he could have made here. Now, this guy's not, Stephen Crowder himself says all the time, he's not a debater, you know. He does do debates, but he's not like, debate's not really his primary bread and butter. He's a commentator and a comedian. But one thing he could have done here that would have improved this astronomically is he could have actually ceded the point and said, I literally said in my intro that there is some political violence on the right and that is already condemned. Now, can you please contend with my argument here, which is that you're giving skewed numbers on purpose in order to make it seem like the left isn't out of control and doing this heinous shit because they just reclassify these events as being something other than violent. Clips on X showing Destiny getting roasted by students on campus today. Gotta love it. Got to. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. God help America. Boy, we need it. The bologna sandwich got 8. That's true. I mean, Crowder's eating this guy's lunch. Don't get me wrong. He's messing him up real bad. I'm just pointing out, and you always have the benefit of hindsight, retroactive hindsight, where you can kind of call these things in a different way. But in the moment, I still think he's responding fine. Do people who are winning a debate ever use red herring tactics? Yes.
Let's do it like grown-ups. You can cite your sources online. George Floyd riots, not included. Daryl Brooks, Waukesha, not included. Antifa, not included. Man shot dead for voting Trump, not included. Those numbers are not to be trusted, and neither is someone parroting it. I'll answer your question if you answer one of mine after. Go ahead, please.
Melissa Hortman, the Democratic state legislator in Minnesota, 3 months ago, gunned down by an anti-abortion Trump supporter. Yes or no?
Wrong. How do I know? Because Vance Bolter, the man who did it, wrote in his letter that it had nothing to do with Trump or being pro-life. He blamed Tim Walz. And here's what you also don't see. Did you see anyone at the Hortman's funerals or vigils spitting on them?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And by the way, he's right. Since the exchange with Destiny where he brought this up, I told him I wasn't familiar enough with the particulars on the case to speak intelligently about it. I did go and look it up, and he was wrong on that, too. Pesos for 20 said the opportunity is here to push into the mainstream consensus some serious lasting critiques of Enlightenment-era ideals for the state to follow. Freedom of speech is problematic when you oppose God's commandments. Well, it's you. Look, they use their freedom of speech to take away your freedom of speech, right? That's the whole goal. Brandon says, I would have paid pay-per-view money to have watched the debate between you and Charlie, bro. And these radical leftists yanked it from us. You would have utterly annihilated Don Lemon. Yes, it would have been a lot of fun to do. Right-wing crowds are not more violent than the left, but I do believe right-wing crowds seem far more capable of violence. That perhaps is true, but perhaps not. Capability has to do with lack of restraint as well. It's actually more likely to me that right-wing crowds are less capable because they have far more restraint. I think capability goes and moves in. Now, if you're just saying purely in a vacuum, if both sides lose restraint, yes, the right wing has the edge there, I would say. Stephen came prepared. Other guy came restarted. Yes, he wasn't taking it seriously. This is a thing which, by the way, is very advantageous for Steven Crowder. That they think he's just a dumb comedian. They don't realize that he's been at the top of his game and basically one of the highest viewed, if not the highest viewed, political pundit for years.
Or pantomiming, being shot in the neck.
During the election night, for instance, I think he had higher coverage than anybody else in the world.
Did you see anyone celebrating the death of them gleefully?
Yes.
Did you see so many professors
Yes.
doing so, showing children a snuff? Really?
No, they didn't. What a lying sack of shit. Here's where Stephen better ask for an example, and this idiot chokes.
Point me to one.
Yes.
Point me to one person spitting at their vigil. Let me guess, you're going to go to Mike Lee?
Utah
How do I predict
Mike
everything
Lee
you say all the time?
That's true. He was able to predict it with ease. Mike Lee. And now the rebuttal.
How?
Donald Trump.
He didn't mock the attack.
But
Yes,
I
he
would.
did.
Okay,
Donald Trump.
let me jump in.
Anyone spit at the
Stephen,
vigil?
let me jump
Anyone
in.
celebrate the
Stephen,
murder?
let me give you an example.
No, they didn't. And he was able to predict what this guy was going to say before he said it. They're so fucking predictable. The left has a higher propensity of violence because they can throw away their worthless lives. Justin Humphrey for 5 says the left's viewpoint on political violence, the first rule of Fight Club, you do not talk about Fight Club. Basically, yes. Average Redhead, thank you for the 5 gifted Crucible memberships. Crowder is just ripping this fucking guy to pieces, and I'm enjoying every second of it.
Your side don't.
Hang on.
Go ahead. Please.
Hang on. I would give an example where the right behaved very badly, and that was over the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. I saw the gleeful responses after that from the right, the memes, the mockery, and so on. I thought that was very distasteful. Would you agree, Steve?
If you want to argue an equivalency between a man
I'm
getting
not
hit with a
asking
hammer in his
equivalency.
underwear
I'm not saying
and a
equivalent.
man bleeding out in front of his child,
I'm not
go
saying
ahead.
they're equivocal. I'm just saying it's an example where I felt people on the right showed a complete lack of humanity towards the man who'd been attacked because he happened to be married to Nancy Pelosi, a political opponent. And so it's not like this never. It's not like this has never happened.
I don't agree. I don't think it's even remotely proportional. Let me ask a question here. This is why I'm giving this message, and this is why I hope people listen and protect their own. Joe Walsh, you're there. Since I answered your question, you're there, Utah, in the crowd. It's not a Mouser. It's not a 30-06. But it's a man winding up a milkshake for Charlie Kirk. We don't know if it's strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, acid, or concrete. Do you stop him?
This is a great question. This is actually a question that people have not been asking, but we've all been thinking. If they wind up to pitch and you don't know what's in it, can we afford to take any chances now? This is what Steven Crowder's arguing. Can we afford to take any chances at this point? It's crazy how all of the right is armed to the teeth, but is the most restrained with logic and reason. Isn't that interesting? Clem, sends in 20, says, just giving my dues. You all owe me dues, fuckers. All of you owe me dues. By the way, I was planning on taking tonight off, too. I usually give myself 2 nights a week off. Probably going to give myself Friday night off, and then we'll do an Invasion Saturday. Does that sound good? It's going to be a very light content week next week because I'm doing some traveling, a bunch of in-person stuff that I'm doing. So do you guys want to do an Invasion Saturday night? I try to do one a week. So, Watermelon for 20 says, Dean, Harry, and Destiny have tried to be the left version of Charlie. Why can't the left produce anyone remotely like him? Because they're fucking scum. That's why. Big Wrench says, I don't pay shit. Damn freeloader. Damn you, freeloaders. It's just like everywhere else, you know. It's 1% of people, and they pay the toll for the other 99%. Isn't it funny how that works?
You heard him? That hesitation tells me that you are not amongst us.
Hey,
And cowards are dangerous to have in their ranks.
Stephen?
Okay, what was his answer here? I'm going to back this up just a little bit because I was yapping.
We don't know if it's strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, acid, or concrete. Do you stop him? Do you hurt him? That hesitation tells me that you are not amongst us.
Hey,
And cowards
Stephen?
are dangerous to
Stephen?
have in their ranks.
Stephen?
Because it's not a
Let me answer
hypothetical,
a
it's happened.
question.
Steven? Hey, Steven. Ah, these people are annoying. Andrew, on that one whatever podcast, when Charlie was on the left, right, before you came on, did he ask you not to be there at the same time as him, or was that Brian's call? I don't think he asked that I wasn't there with him. So he was. Brian doesn't like to have two high-profile guests on at the same time. And I think that booking Charlie Kirk was probably not an easy endeavor for him, and he wanted to make sure that he had the spotlight. I think that that's completely fair. It's his show. Where did you really learn the Wilson Squint 007? That's right. It was from my martini training in how to seduce your wife, sir.
Let me answer your question.
Do you stop him? Do you hurt him?
I don't understand your question.
I don't understand your question. I'm so confused. What does he mean? What does he mean? Why do you avoid streamers like Tomfoolery? What do you mean? Wasn't I just on Tomfoolery's program not that long ago? Who had attacked the right and Kirk all week? Why only go after even lower level fruits? Like who? Who are you talking about? Most of TikTok streamers whose streams I go on have bigger views than Tomfoolery, bro. What are you fucking talking about? What are you even talking about? David for 5 says Destiny likes when guys pee on him. Probably. Trev says asking if that's okay, like you give a shit what we think about your choice. Laugh out loud. Just kidding. Have a chill Friday, everyone. You care. You care. Beyonce Joe, thank you for the $10. I appreciate it. Yeah, by the way, your favorite streamer does not find it endearing when you come here to make unreasonable demands about me going on their streams. It makes them look bad. It's not endearing to them, I promise you. They don't like it when you do it. You just shouldn't do it. But whatever, it's up to you, I guess.
Sorry. I honestly, I don't.
Someone winding up a milkshake to launch at Charlie Kirk. You don't know if it's strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, acid, or concrete. You see him before anyone else does. Do you stop him and hurt him?
Yes. I certainly stop him. I do all I can to stop him, yes.
That was a half-ass answer, wasn't it? Certainly stop him. That doesn't really tell me much.
Good. There's a start. That's what I'm advocating. Every single person out there, because we have been living with this shadow over us. And I know, look, here's the thing too, Joe. I understand your rhetoric. I understand where you're coming from. And I know that you met Charlie when he was 16, as I understand it, right? He was very, very young. And I understand that maybe you were somewhat of a mentor figure. It's because of the failure of Republicans like you that me and Charlie Kirk exist, who are willing to take back the territory that has been conceded, and we are willing to pay with our lives. We shouldn't have to be. Academia, media, the press, big tech shouldn't be dominated by the left exclusively all the time. Charlie Kirk shouldn't be out there alone, sitting in that chair, taking on all comers. He shouldn't be inspired by people like me, who are comedians. He should have been inspired by people like you.
This is a really good point that he brings up. Why is a fucking comic who is willing to have these conversations in these academic fields, and the whole purpose of it was to give an alternative to what your liberal professor was fucking telling you, why is it that the mainstream political right is more influenced by those guys than they are by their own fucking mentors who are just doing business as usual? Crowder, how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? Walsh, I don't understand your question. Mudslinger for 5. I just want to put it out there since Crowder wasn't able to say it. Nancy Pelosi and her husband are corrupt skin-walking demons. Jeez. She does have a crypt keeper look about her. Destiny likes. Oh, geez, dude. Come on, guys. Come on.
Instead, he was inspired to go the other way. Maybe that's why he said he sold his soul for Donald Trump before the body was cold. Still want to do the no true Scotsman holier than thou thing?
And Stephen, I'm assuming you would do the same, correct? If somebody were throwing a chocolate milkshake at a left-wing speaker, correct?
Notice that he changes the argument here again. I assume, Stephen, you would do the same thing if somebody was throwing a chocolate milkshake. That's not what Stephen said. What he said was very specific. You don't know if it's a chocolate milkshake. You don't know if it's a vanilla milkshake. You don't know if it's a cherry Coke, but you also don't know if it's acid, and you don't know if it's fucking concrete. You don't know if it's a fucking grenade in the cup. You don't know. So he changes it to, what would you do if it was a chocolate milkshake? It's like, no, that's not what he said, you disingenuous fuck. It's not what he said. I'm clotheslining that guy, even if he's throwing cotton candy. Bomb Mom says, nothing, just sends in 20 Canadian dollars. Really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. David for 5. When the left says Charlie getting unalive was terrible, but it's all bullshit before the word, but they don't care. They don't fucking care, dude. Yeah, totally. Chocolate milkshake fallacy. Chocolate milkshake fallacy.
No, the reason I bring it up is because we didn't. We didn't, and I've had them launched at me.
Would you, Stephen?
And the reason...
Would you?
No, I didn't. I didn't,
Would you?
and now I would. Now
Would
I would.
you?
Because now I would. Yes. Have I answered your question? Yes, now I would, and I advocate that everybody else do the same by any means necessary.
So Stephen, common ground. You and I, two Americans, would both stop any politically violent attack on any public figure or speaker that we saw. You and I agree to that. And you and I hope, would both agree that we should condemn all political violence. End of story.
I am condemning, of course, all political violence. It is coming from one side, and the prescription is ruthless, aggressive.
There we go. Back on offense, he says, of course I condemn political violence. It's all coming from you fuckers, and I condemn all of you. Left looks to be politically prideful and win rather than a show of humility. It's sad to see. By the way, chocolate milkshake is the best milkshake. I'm a big fan of strawberry milkshakes. I am. I think they're better than chocolate. You can't have peace without force doctrine. People keep peace out of fear, the consequences of what happens when you don't. I actually tend to agree with this.
Of defensive, lawful violence on anyone who tries. If someone behaves in a way, for example, I've been sucker punched, I've been collar dragged, I've had attempts on my life, I have been doxxed. If anyone behaves in a way where if they behave that way at a town hall, at a restaurant, you with your family, would result in their severe ass beating, they deserve it at a...
Andrew, I've noticed you seem open-minded about cannabis in your content. As I'm exploring orthodoxy, is cannabis use considered a sin? You need to talk to a priest about that. You need to talk to a priest about it. There's specific ways in which these intoxicants are viewed, and I'm definitely not the right guy to give you that lecture.
Political rally, they deserve it at a private function and a public speaking engagement, and the right has not been doing that because we've been taking the high road and the left has acted with impunity. That's why you see professors. It's not just that they're showing children a snuff film on repeat in order to create a generation of psychopaths, by the way. That's how you do it. It's that so many professors are doing it because they don't fear any ramifications. You can't find that on the right. Find me one example of a Charlie Kirk, not an elected official, a person who did nothing more than express his opinion and allow anyone else to do the same, who lost his life.
I also think
putting your super chat in all caps, while it does make it more comfortable for me to read, David, is particularly annoying for the chat. So while I appreciate the $5, please don't all cap the super chats. I appreciate it. Now now you know what the fuckers are going to do? They're going to make every word capital except one word and then be like, see, I didn't make it all caps, Andrew, just to fuck with me because you guys are dickheads. Says, what happens if the left does or tries this again? What's the next move for conservatives? Crowder's outlining it right now. That complacency is the big killer and the thing that we need to get past. 3 Jabroni for 5 says, pineapple lime is the greatest milkshake. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Pros and cons of COVID. Pro revealed all the lunatics of the world. Con, there are freaking too many. True. The Cut says, wait, there are pink cows? Yeah, that's where you get strawberry milkshakes from, stupid.
in relation to that, I saw Charlie Kirk's producer today getting quite emotional as he talked about the difference, for example, between the reaction to the murder of George Floyd, which I thought was despicable, and the murder of Charlie Kirk,
these
which was
fucking assholes. You see these fucking assholes in the chat? It's just immediately you're like, oh yeah, watch this. There's like, they're like, oh yeah, super chatter, hold my beer, super chatter.
Got one precipitated nationwide rioting and lawlessness as people were so enraged they took to the streets, and the other took to people going to church. You know,
also
and
call me when Charlie Kirk died with a speedball. He mugged a woman with
Thanks,
his
Michael.
I thought it was an interesting.
George Floyd hurt people.
I thought it was an interesting observation, Joe, in terms of the difference.
And I appreciate that, Pierce. Let me sneak in one more thing before Stephen goes off. Also, the assassin.
All right, just get it out of your system, okay? Get it out of your system so we can get back to the show. Andrew, you're gonna bald. Maybe just gray. Maybe just gray.
After that, and the other thing you did not see after a. Let me finish, Stephen. Let me finish, brother.
The man who blamed Tim Walz. Truth matters. Truth. Dishonesty foments violence, Joe.
After a Democrat was assassinated in Minnesota, you also did not see the Democratic Party and the left declaring a war on the right, saying that they did it, the evildoers did it. This is a battle.
Yes, you did. You fucking lying, gutless piece of shit. You sure did. Bank says for 10, hey, Andrew, big fan. Been watching you for a while. I'm in the military and use your way of debating to get my point across. Thank you for everything you do. I hope one day I can meet you. Sounds great. I don't know how that would work, though, in the military. Like, especially if you have a CO. Like, how do you debate with him? Sir, your order lacks epistemological grounding, sir. Sir, I'm unable to complete your order. It does not follow the operations of modus ponens, sir. No, sir, we can't go up the hill and then down the hill. That would be a direct performative contradiction, sir. maybe not that useful in the military, you know? I don't know. It's like maybe not that useful. Hair is just a device for ugly people to hide their ugly. Mean. Sounds like bald cope to me. God bless you, Andrew, and the Kirk family. Now one step back. Thank you, Marimbo. I appreciate the 100. Very kind of you. I'm more of a smoothie type with strawberry, but I'd say this dude is a 20-year-old soy milk type. True. If you never bald, then where did your beard go? Checkmate, bro. True. What was I thinking? Yeah, this is a performative fallacy, sir. Your CO looks at you. Can't trust these orders. They could be from the enemy. Sir, that's a genetic fallacy. That's a genetic fallacy, sir. It's a what? Sir, we couldn't possibly make such an assessment on those orders just based purely on where the source of those orders came from, sir.
Between good and evil. You didn't hear any of that when a Democrat was assassinated. We should condemn both, Pierce. Condemn anybody celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. Condemn it. And we should also condemn anyone using Charlie Kirk's murder to declare some war on half of the country, and this is a battle between good and evil. Both of those reactions are dangerous and despicable.
Final word to Stephen. Stephen, final word to you.
Stephen, you got the final word.
Yeah, wrong. I think using Charlie Kirk as saying that he sold his soul to Trump before the body's even cold. I agree with Charlie Kirk's reaction to George Floyd because the media lied. Lies foment dishonesty. And I'm not calling for a civil war. I made it very clear I want the left to be able to continue to speak without security, as they often do. I just want them to be deathly afraid to try what they've been doing with the right for a very long, forevermore going forward. But if we talk about this, hey, there's one time that there weren't riots. Yeah, what about all the times that there were and they weren't registered as violent crime? Charlie Kirk didn't hurt anybody. George Floyd did. Charlie Kirk is very, very different from George Floyd. Dishonesty is what foments. I'll leave you with.
Yeah, same thing I said. You have to take these things on a case-by-case basis. And it's specifically that lack of nuance which gets people in trouble. Andrew, bro, what's your favorite breakfast, bro? But I ate breakfast, bro. I already ate breakfast. I did eat breakfast. Andrew, question off topic. Drink of choice during a debate with your family, friends, or on vacation? Vodka and soda, my friend. Andrew, I've been thinking about expanding my company for months now. The bigger question is, should I go with construction or commercial? What's your opinion? I'm uniquely unqualified to answer that question. You know what? Go commercial construction. Yeah. Hot take right there. That's the emergent market. That's right. Debate is useless, especially to my old captain. He'd just give you paperwork for talking back. Yeah, that sounds right. My Gramps is 87 with a full head of hair. F the faint, move on for the kill. BT dubs, good Starship Troopers Helldivers voice. I can't do a good The Starship Troopers voice from the original movie of the announcer was like, that was just the best. That was just the best. Tomato tax, shout out to the Crucible crew. What kind of tax is this for $20? Jeez. Sarah the Tomato. It's okay. The 21st is coming, and that's when all the dues are supposed to come in. On this, the day of my daughter's not wedding. My Gramps is 80. Oh, sorry, I already read that. Thanks, by the way, for the 20, Sarah. It's very kind of you. Andrew, take my money. Yes, sir, I will. Happy to do it. Verbal judo is proving to be excessive force on TikTok invasions. LMAO. Yuri Bezmenov is proud the message is being taken seriously today. Yuri Bezmenov, huh? Love the content, man. Keep up the good work. Go Blue. I want to hear the last things Steven says here.
This is what foments violence. And you know what? When you say war of good and evil, show me one time where the people who are actually evil are willing to paint a war of good and evil. Because you know what? If it ever comes to that, God forbid, maybe the people advocating for abortion up until and including birth and genital mutilation for children, including hiding them from their parents in the state of Minnesota, maybe they could look around at themselves and say, hey, if this is a war of good and evil, maybe we're the bad guys.
You know, boys and girls, where I come from, that's called an ass whooping.